everybody, and welcome to Generally Speaking, the podcast that bridges the worlds of pop culture and personal development. I'm your host, Jennifer Snook. I am so happy to be here with you today. I hope everything has been going well in your world. Here is what's been happening in mine. Well, you guys, it is October, so it is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So everybody out there with boobs or knows someone that has boobs, remind them to get them checked, you guys, because it matters so much. Let me just remind you also that my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer back in 1993, and she is still kicking and thriving today. Even though it came back 10 years later, and then 10 years later again, metastasized, my mom is still here. She is still with us. So just because you get a cancer diagnosis does not mean that it is the end, you guys. So if by chance you or someone you love is dealing with a cancer diagnosis, please stay rooted in love and please continue to have hope, because there is hope to be had. I promise you. My mom is the perfect example of that. And we are well into the fall season, you guys. I'm getting ready to have my first pumpkin paint and sip here at the house on Thursday. I've never done a paint and sip. I've definitely never done a pumpkin paint and sip. So I will report back and let you guys know how it goes. We have lots to get to today, so let's get Christy on the line. Hello, cutie pie.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? How was your weekend?
My weekend was great. I hosted a paint party. I hosted my girlfriend's birthday and I surprised everybody with paint your spouse. And so I bought.
Oh, I saw that on your story.
It was that we laughed so hard we were crying. So these are the pictures that Mark and I did of each other. Mark is Teen Wolf meets the Wizard of Oz. And here I am. I mean, it was amazing.
You guys did those of each other?
Yeah. And my other friends did it of theirs. And of course, my one friend in the group, you know, there's always the one that can do it great job. And that was my other friends. But isn't this funny?
Honestly, I just have to be completely honest. That looks like grade A artwork compared to what I would come up with.
No,
I mean, I'm really bad.
It's hard, but it's so funny. So it was a great thing to do.
I mean, I'm so bad that I'm actually getting ready to host a pumpkin paint and sip. I was just talking about this. And the reason I'm doing pumpkin paint and sip is because, I mean, anybody can paint on a pumpkin, right? Yeah. How do you go wrong painting? Even I can paint on a pumpkin.
Yeah, flower.
Yeah, exactly. You know, maybe even a ghost. Who knows?
Yeah. But it's so fun. It's so fun having something to do other than eat, sit. I mean, that's fun too, but yeah.
An activity.
Yeah.
We love an activity. Do you guys have Halloween plans?
We're going to New Orleans.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never been. So my friend lives there.
Fun. Who are you going with?
Mark and I are going, and we're going to see our friend Kit and Michelle. Kit grew up there. He's from there. And then our other friends in Oregon heard we were going, so they're coming too.
Oh, amazing.
I know. Give me that beignet, baby.
Oh my, you can't go wrong with. Have you ever had a beignet?
At Disney Town.
At Disney Town,
whatever it is.
We have beignet, a place called Beignet Box in Calabasas. Well, there's one in Calabasas. There's one in Studio City. And it, I can't remember the girl that started it, but she's like an R&B pop star. Really
smart.
And she started this beignet box. You absolutely know who she is. I mean, she's a big name. I'm blanking on it. Oh God, what is her name? Watch this. Hey Siri, who opened beignet box?
Oh.
Was your Siri just talking to me?
Yeah.
Hey Siri, who started beignet box? Christina Milian, I think. Do you know who she is?
Wait, is she an actress?
Yes, she's an actress, performer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, she was smart. She was, diversifying, and she opened beignet box, and it is such a hit around here. And they even have beignet box trucks, so you can have one at your party. I mean, and they are incredible.
The world is great.
I mean, amazing. Speaking of great, anything new on Jeff Lewis?
I did see that Chef Stu, his ex, and Megan, his ex-buddy, were at Jax Taylor's yesterday, walked in together. They're friends, which, it's just funny that the way the world goes.
Intersex, huh?
Yeah, him and his friendships. And so
So here's my next question. Have you by chance dipped your toe into the world of 90 Day Fiance?
Only a while ago, but I did start the House of Villains, and there's a girl on it with boobs this big from 90
Okay. Yes,
Fiance.
that's Larissa. That's Larissa from Brazil. She was on like one of the very first episodes and seasons. She was quite a story, I'm telling you. But I got hooked on that 90 Day Fiance, and this one they have out right now is some next level shit. They've got this guy Chitty, and he's in, I think, Ghana, and a girl from, I think, Georgia is in love with him, and she is in love with him, but she's also in love with chickens. She has chickens on her farm. She loves the chickens like they're her family. And then when she freaking travels to Ghana to see Chitty, who is blind, by the way, and so he needs like a constant companion. Usually that companion has been his very devoted sister, right? And the sister is very welcoming of whatever her name is. I can't remember it a second. She's very welcoming until they go to the market, and they go to the market to get food, right? Well, also we're in Ghana, so at
Chicken.
the market, there's chickens, live chickens, not packaged in Foster Farms styrofoam, live chickens. And then she picks out a chicken, and you should see this girl loses her shit. You've never seen crazier eyes in your life. You chickens are like my family. Would you really kill someone's family in front of them? Anyways, these chickens are really, really causing a ripple in the love story. In Shitty's love story. It is gold. This stuff is television gold. I'm telling you, you can't make this up. It's so funny, Chris.
I love it.
The chickens are really ruining the relationship.
Poor thing.
Also, let's see, what else do we have? Did you hear this week, there was just a book released. Lisa Marie Presley's book just came out.
Oh, I watched the Oprah interview.
Co-written by her daughter.
Yeah.
Did you see that? I mean, it was a lot.
Yeah.
Keeping the dead son in the house at 55 degrees.
For 2 weeks. And she also had a tattoo artist come in, and she wanted to get the same tattoo that he had on his hand. So she had to bring the tattoo artist into the room where he was.
You can't take a picture.
Right. But I mean, so when her dad died, when she was little, his body was at Greystone also. So she spent time with him.
Graceland, you mean?
What'd I say?
You Greystone. Graceland? That's because you got Doreen Bentley on the brain. Bluestone Manor. Bluestone Manor.
So, death in different cultures is different. We go see their body, it's done. But in some cultures, they do keep bodies. They go and read to them. They go and visit. So, but yeah, watch the Oprah interview.
I'm not, I don't know. I'm not down with the dead bodies. I don't know. I've tried. I remember one time, I remember when my grandfather died, and my mom said, it was before the coroners came, and my mom said, why don't you go in there and look at Grandpa? And I remember thinking, I don't really want to do this, but this was back when I still did just like whatever my mother said, like, oh, my mom says I'm supposed to go look at my dead grandfather. I guess that's what I need to do. So I went to the room, and I remember standing at the door jamb and just like peeking. And I'll never forget, as soon as I peeked. And then when I got to his face, I saw the face, and I like recoiled, and I just thought to myself, why the hell did you do that? Like, I don't need to see it.
No.
It's not my jam.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's other good stuff in the book though, about when she was married to Michael Jackson and they lived together. And
she's got some juicy, I mean, that was a time. Do you remember that? That was like huge. Lisa Marie Presley, it was on the front of every magazine. Do you remember that?
Yeah, and Michael Jackson, that was wild.
The King of Pop and the print, what they call Michael Jackson, the King of Pop and the King of Rock and Roll's daughter. It was like they were making it out like it was,
yeah,
that was our royalty back then.
For sure.
Did you hear that BravoCon is back?
No,
BravoCon is officially back. Yes, and I can tell you basically a year from now.
Okay.
The dates, it's once again going to be in Vegas at Caesars, just like it was before. And the dates are November 14th, 15th, and 16th. I know.
I love watching it.
I know.
As it's happening
right?
on the internet.
I know. I'm so excited. Just because so much shit always comes out of it. You know what I mean? When you put that many personalities into one space, it's going to be explosive.
Yeah, the Bravo family is amazing together.
Amazing. Speaking of families that aren't amazing, Jen Pedranti over in OC has had to take that ex-husband of hers back to court because she still hasn't gotten a dime in child support. She hasn't gotten any of her monthly allowance that she was granted. She hasn't got any of that lump sum.
Oh, wow.
So, I know. But she says, but thank God I'm with Ryan. And I have a car with Ryan. And truthfully, thank God she does.
Right.
Because God knows where she'd be. I don't know what state she's from, but I'm pretty sure she'd be back there.
Right, with family biz.
Yeah, but I think the problem was he worked for her family biz. And so he had a really good, steady, hefty income. And now he doesn't work for that family business anymore. And the cush is gone.
Yeah, it's been
the
gone.
Cush you smoke. I mean the cushion of the wallet. Here, did you see Alexis and John on the red carpet and them making even bigger fools of themselves?
Where were they? At the Kyle Richards, was Kyle Richards on the cover of the magazine celebration?
Yes, I did see that cover of Kyle, and it could have been that event, but someone was interviewing the two of them, and they just, the truth with those two is the more they talk, the worse it gets. They should really do themselves a favor and just shut up.
Yeah. Right.
Also, did you hear that they've officially sent their save the dates out?
No.
They are, yes. And I'm pretty sure that the reason why they sent these save the dates out is because they want to make sure that it's on the books, because that's,
her ticket to the next.
Exactly. They're hoping that that is going to be enough of a hook to keep them locked into next season.
Smart.
Because if they didn't, if they didn't do those save the dates, they would just fade away. They're asked by a reporter, how do you think that, you guys did this season on the show? And John says, well, I can defend myself, but I don't really have the voice that she has. And Lexi loves me and she's not going to let me be lied about, but I'm very capable of defending myself. And the hate, he says, has been overwhelming, but we're in a vortex. And all of the hate has been based on things that are just not true. So we're in a no-win situation. I mean,
get out of here.
Get out of here. He's such a professional victim. Do you think that they'll be asked back? Not they. Now I'm lumping them together.
Right.
But she'll be asked back?
Probably. She brought, yeah, probably, especially if they sent the save the dates out.
Well, I think that she might be asked back too, just because it really has caused so much drama this season. And I don't think that it's crossed over into, I mean, maybe it has for Shannon, but it hasn't gotten as dark as, say, like Jersey. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's still fresh. So
yeah,
I don't know.
It's enough.
I don't think people really want to see her back. Nobody loves Alexis. Nobody loves this whole
Jesus Jugs. Yeah.
It's Jugs, this whole display with Johnny J and the way she's handled herself this season. I don't think anybody loves her, but I do think that the fact that Shannon is such an intricate part of that storyline I think she has some hope.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that may or may not be back, did you hear the rumblings about Jen Aydin? Did you see Jen Aydin on, I don't know where she was, but I saw a video of her in a chair, I think maybe getting like some cosmetic procedures. She said, shocker, and she said something like, I'll be back. It was some reference to her coming back. And so what I saw was just all of this, this is her way of signaling that she's got the call and she knows that she's coming back. But if she is back, I will not be mad, because I've said it before. I like the thought of Jen Aydin coming back without Teresa.
Same. Yeah, without Teresa.
The question is, will Teresa be back? And I still don't think so. I still don't think so.
Are you watching her on the House of Villains?
Sweetie, have I been watching her on the House of Villains? Yes, I have been watching her on the House of Villains, and it's kind of interesting to watch her in a different environment.
Mm-hmm.
But she's still Teresa. She's so terrified of what, do you see the way she says to everybody? So you know me, so you know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, you know who I am, right?
Yeah.
And she loves telling people that she doesn't know who they are.
Janice Dickinson, when she came in, she says, Janice Dickinson says, you don't know who I am?
What about New York in the hairline comment?
New York telling her, I have
respected your hairline.
And Teresa's just dumbfounded, like
literally, did you see the look on her face?
Okay.
She can't process it.
No, I couldn't barely
like,
process.
am I being insulted?
It was amazing.
Am I being insulted? Well, if Teresa doesn't come back, did you hear? That's the other thing I like about watching her on this show. You get these little nuggets that you don't get on Housewives. Did you hear her say that firstly, did you see her offering dinner everyone a meal? She sold herself as a
author.
She's authored multiple cookbooks, and she's a cook. That's what she does. She's old school Italian. And she made them a dinner, and everybody's choking it down, saying it looks wonderful, and it looked great, but did you hear them? They hated it. Every single one of them.
The naked guy, Richard, he said it was like a salt lick.
And then it's hilarious because then she went on to talk about the fact that her and Gia are about to open a restaurant, that's their next big project, that they're going to be opening a restaurant together.
I couldn't believe it.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Well, it's about time Teresa, does something, because if she doesn't get asked back, I guess that's her ticket to financial freedom.
Right.
And Louis can be her maitre d'. Greet people at the door. I'd go. That'll be the next trip.
Oh God, yeah.
Speaking of Louis, what about that Halloween costume I sent you?
What did it say? It comes in 3 shades of red and Bo Dietl sold separately.
Perfect. I saw one of Teresa, that same thing with the spirit store set, has been.
So funny.
So funny. Also, Luann was on Melissa Gorga's podcast, and she came down on what she thinks is actually going to end up happening. She said she thinks that they're going to do a partial recast, and Luann said she thinks that they're going to keep the part of the cast that works together. And we know who that is. Because we know who doesn't, right?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well,
they're not gonna base the show around Teresa, Jen, and Jackie. Sorry, that's not gonna happen.
No.
Not gonna happen at all. So I can't wait. And also I think it's great because Luann was just on Teresa's podcast like the week before, and she didn't say anything like that.
Was she asked?
Yes. Yes. And she just kept the part out where she said she thinks that the ones that work together will. She said, I think it'll be a partial recast. And then she turned the question back to Teresa and said, what do you think?
Teresa thinks she's coming back.
Teresa thinks that the show does need a recast, but only some of the players. Only,
Get rid of Melissa.
You know which ones.
Yeah.
All right, babe. So you ready to cruise on over to Orange County?
Orange County.
Reality check. So the show opens up this week, and it's just boob paradise because everybody's going to get their mammograms.
Yep, thank God. I have mine scheduled for February.
Oh my, I hate to admit this, but I'm overdue. I've had orders for about 6 months now and I haven't gone. But I usually get mine. I'm very good about it. I'm a little behind on everything. This move really, I'm telling you, it threw my whole life off.
Of course.
So they all go and they all decide to go together. And then did you see that when they finally all got settled in the waiting room, Gina turns to Shannon and says, so Shannon, did you ever send that text? The text that I just want to make sure you know that you are not invited. Shannon says, actually, I did. I sent it when I got home. And Jen Pedranti says, and I was with her when she got it. And let me just tell you guys that she flipped out.
She flipped out and basically kicked her and Katie out of their house.
Yeah.
She did.
No, she did. And she said that. She actually used the words, she went batshit crazy. She went batshit crazy and basically kicked mine and Katie's asses out the door. And then Shannon says, well, last night I actually received a text back. And it said, hi, Shannon Bedore. Since you're hosting this amazing trip to Europe with our friends, surely you can scrounge up the funds to pay my future husband his $75,000 back that you borrowed and owe him. Safe travels.
Hashtag heart hands.
And Jen looks at Shannon and says, listen, I really think that she thought she was invited, that she was coming on the trip.
She did.
And Shannon goes, well, then she's hashtag delusional.
Right.
Truthfully, isn't she hashtag delusional? I mean, in what world is Shannon going to invite her arch nemesis on her birthday trip? Come on.
Ex-boyfriend's fiance.
So insane. Then the doctor comes in and Jen explains that she has a lump. Gina's a nervous wreck because it's her first time. And then the doctor takes them back and tells Jen that that lump that she has is actually a result of a previous surgery. So that's good.
She's normal.
Honestly, I felt so relieved for her just because that's the last thing she needs to deal with at this point.
No, exactly.
And then Heather finds out that she has an extra high estimated risk for breast cancer. A normal number is 12% and Heather is at 39.
Scary.
I mean, that's a high number.
Yeah, that's scary.
That's no joke. And Heather's bothered about it, obviously, who wouldn't be, but she's even more bothered about the fact that none of her friends asked her about her results. Yeah.
But she didn't say it either. Then
Shannon and Gina get the all clear and everybody was good in the end, except for Heather's high result. Now we're over at Katie's, who is packing because that's all we seem to do lately, right?
I know.
I'm telling you, ever since you mentioned the fact that everybody's packing, back when we were talking about Jersey, I feel like it's all I see now. Everybody's packing.
And I just can't with suitcases on the bed. They're so dirty.
Do you know, I thought that when I saw Tamra had it all propped up on the bed, and I sat there thinking, is that a brand new suitcase? I mean, even a brand new suitcase has been who knows where.
At Ross.
I was just gonna say. Yes, because I mean, most of us do get our suitcases at Ross. I mean, I know. I don't think I've ever purchased a suitcase at someplace other than Ross.
TJ Maxx or
no, 100%. Every suitcase I've ever had has come from
amazing.
Katie says she's never been to England and is wondering what to do. Her daughter suggests that her and Tamara go exploring. And her daughter says, well, isn't England an island? But England is not an island.
No.
Great Britain is an island, but England is not an island.
No.
Then we're with Shannon while she's packing because more packing. And then we're with Tamara because she's packing.
Right.
And telling Eddie about what happened with Jen at Shannon's tea party. Speaking of Jen, she's packing and telling her Guido the pimp boyfriend, who I can't call him anything other than Guido the pimp because I don't know, I
mean, his face looks like Mr. Furley to me. I see Mr. Furley.
I can see that too. That's hilarious. Mr. Furley. Half the people listening to this are going to be like, who the hell's Mr. Furley?
Right.
Then it's time for everybody to take off. And did you feel that very awkward energy between Heather and
Katie
when they got to the airport in the morning? I mean, I was like, this is awkward. I mean, it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Heather's like, hurry up, people, show up. I don't want to be with her.
And then they did. And then they all took off. And truthfully, did you see Emily brush her teeth with Dr. Pepper?
Is it for show or is this because her eating a sandwich in the sauna and now brushing your teeth with Dr. Pepper? She's amazing. But
I gotta say, I love Emily. I love her. I mean, I think she is where it's at. I personally would have asked for water. I don't know why she didn't, Because I can't imagine, you don't really leave with a really clean, minty feel if you brush with Dr. Pepper, right?
No, watching it, you can just taste.
Were you a Dr. Pepper lover growing up?
Yeah.
Really?
Love Dr. Pepper.
Oh my God, I hated it.
I
hate it.
So good.
Then Heather takes the mic and she pretends like she's a flight attendant and announces to the entire plane that it is Shannon Bedore's birthday.
And I'm Heather. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Bedore.
Heather Dubrow.
Heather Dubrow.
She loves to say her name. You're right. She does love to say her name.
Can you imagine being on that plane?
Hilarious. Once the ladies land, they head to the hotel, and upon check-in, Shannon declares that Shannon Storms Bedore, the Duchess of Del Mar, has arrived, and these are her ladies in waiting.
Did you see the bellhops? They're like, what?
They're like, what? I know. It fell flat, to say the very least.
Right.
Couldn't really have fallen much flatter. Then the girls all sit down for tea sandwiches where they pull room keys. And then they go to their rooms where they find a scarf from Shannon, a Burberry scarf, no less, which is almost $600. Half of the girls are appreciating them, and the other half are wishing that they could send them back to the John Jansen facelift fund.
Right, and questioning her spending her own money, but
truthfully,
right,
if she's really stressed about cash, I don't know why she's lashing out on such fancy gifts. I mean, more tea maybe. Then it's time for a boat ride along the Thames.
This was great.
This was great. I loved this. I loved watching them all get sideways and everybody freaking. Did you see Heather? She kept raising her hand. Meanwhile, Emily's in the back going faster, faster.
Loved
faster. It. Also, the fact that Emily was getting pleasure about how uncomfortable all the prima donnas were, that was great too.
Yeah.
Then the girls get back to the hotel, and some of them start their own glam and some of them start getting glammed. And did you see that
Jen, of course, is getting glam?
Of course. I don't get it.
What is happening? She's the one that
yeah, and honestly, I'd like to see her on Watch What Happens Live and have somebody ask her, like, where is the money coming from? Is Ryan paying for it?
Mm-hmm.
And again, where does Ryan's money come from?
Well, didn't you hear him with his half-hour explanation?
47 different answers. Yeah. Yes, of course I heard him. Insane.
Right.
Then as the girls are walking to dinner, they stop by to pick up Shannon. And did you see Shannon's like, oh my God, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
She frantically starts ratting her hair.
And Gina's
line was so great. That was maybe her best line so far this season. The back of your hair looks like the last year of your life.
Exactly. It was hilarious.
She wasn't wrong. And then they all arrived to the dinner table. And this is where things started to go sideways for me. Like, this is when stuff felt weird. Did you think that whole conversation was planted? Because
yes.
It did.
The way that Tamra said it.
The way that Tamra said it.
So
it was
unauthentic.
I mean, it just felt so awkward. So I heard you guys all went and did your mammograms. So you were all clear, right? You were clear. Yeah. Heather, I didn't hear about you.
Right. My roommate.
Exactly.
Because they did talk about it.
And then Heather goes, because no one asked me about mine.
Right.
And right there, did you see Shannon was confused. Shannon didn't let it drop. She's like, what are you talking about, Heather? And
yeah,
she said, we heard you guys cheering.
So they thought everything was fine.
Right. And in that instance, unless you speak up and say it's not, everyone's going to assume that it's fine. That was.
Yeah. Heather needing a group hug.
Yeah. Yeah. Which she should have said. She should have just said, hey, I just got this crazy result and I'm scared about it.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone did hear cheering coming from that room. So what else are they supposed to assume?
Exactly.
Let's see where and then she says, well, what is it, Heather? What's wrong? And then Heather goes on to tell them all about those crazy percentages that she got for her risk. And everybody did trip out on the fact that those percentages were high, because let's face it, they are.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tamra goes, well, I'm curious. She goes, if you get high readings like that, can you do something like a preventative vasectomy? Did you hear her say vasectomy? Did you hear her? Did you
Oh,
hear it too?
no.
She said, instead of mastectomy, she says,
Right.
well, can you get like a preventative vasectomy?
Oh, Lord. Maybe Terry can do that. Good God.
And then Heather starts going into it again and starts recounting the fact that they were all in that room together, everyone asking everyone else how their results were, but no one asking her. She says, no one looked at me and said, what happened to you? None of you.
Yeah.
And everybody felt like shit, whatever.
Right. Of course.
Everybody absolutely.
Yeah, sincerely didn't know.
Sincerely, including Gina, who then made sure that she got a little jab in there and said that she thinks that Heather's acting like a hypocrite.
Right. And then Katie says that she's hearing about Heather and her family history, cancer. It really strikes a chord with her because that's the only thing that she really wished that she knew is her medical history.
Yes, exactly. I thought that was great. And then she goes on to tell the girls that her and her husband and her daughter are going to be going to Korea for her 40th birthday. And she's actually going to meet her birth mother finally after, I mean, her whole life. Imagine.
Right. Amazing.
And Heather is actually truly interested in what she's saying and asking her questions and engaging her. And meanwhile, you've got Emily behind them going, oh my God, look, oh my God.
Right.
And Heather goes, listen, I was asking her about her mother and her history because it's interesting. Too bad she's not.
I know.
I mean, dig. Katie starts talking about the fact that if she gave her baby away, all she would want to know is that they were good, they were cared for, they were loved, they were for, yeah, all of those things. And she says that that's really why she wants to go, because she wants to let her mom know that. But poor thing, she sat there and obviously it's emotional for her. And no matter how grateful she says she is, there's still, you know, I mean, that's rough. Those are deep mother wounds. And mother wounds are rough. They
yeah.
Mother wounds are rough. And not only is it the wound, but then the scar tissue that builds around that wound, and then navigating all of that, it's not easy. And it's not faint of heart.
No, not at all.
It takes a lot of work. But I mean, she's on the road. It's great. So amazing that she's getting this, going to have this fresh start with her mom. Who knows how it'll turn out, but at least she has it.
Right. A chance.
Katie goes on to say that Heather and her are very good at being polite to each other, and that Heather is very good at being polite, ice cold. Then Tamara turns to Shannon and says, so what's going on with your lawsuit?
Of course she does.
And Heather goes, oh, do we need to talk about this? And then Emily says, well, she likes to talk about it. She talks about it. She likes to talk about it. Don't you, Shannon? And
yes.
Shannon goes, like to talk about it? No, absolutely
not.
And then the moment she said that, that was her opening the door, and Tamara walked right through it.
Of course she did.
Right through it. Tamara says, you don't like to talk about it. You were just on Jeff Lewis talking about it for an hour. And Shannon says, I absolutely have the right to say, that what is getting out there about me is wrong. People are saying I borrowed $75,000 for a facelift, and I didn't. There wasn't a promissory note, nothing discussed prior. And then a couple of days later, he sent me a promissory note, and I was fucking livid.
So on Jeff, he was asking her about the money, and she said that she was wondering if she should get a loan, but interest rates are so high. And then she says to John, well, you have money. And he gave it to her. So
he gave it to her and sent a promissory note after the fact.
And she told him, she flipped out and was like, don't ever do this, don't talk about this.
Heather at this point is taken aback because this is the first time she's ever heard that there was a promissory note of any kind. And then Tamara turns to the camera and says, I know for a fact that she borrowed that money from John because she told me she borrowed that money from John. So I see his point, and quite frankly, I'd probably sue her ass too.
But she did say she'd give him the money if he'd shut his mouth, and he couldn't. She said no.
I know. Then Shannon starts to say more, and then she stops herself because I shouldn't say anything. I'm in a lawsuit. And they all go, what are you talking about? You just were on Jeff's show for an hour. And then Tamara says to her, you know, I was really shocked that you said so much on Jeff's show. And she says that her attorney has okayed it.
Mm-hmm.
Which seems strange to me because I don't really understand why they would, but apparently they did. I can't imagine that she talks to her attorneys about everything. I believe that she probably did ask them and they gave her the okay.
Right.
And then Tamara says, and then you also told a lie. And then did you see Shannon at this point? She's like, what lie did I tell?
Right. Tamara's stirring it.
Yeah. And then Heather pops up and says, well, I'm not exactly sure if it was like officially a lie, but when we were in Sonoma, you came to my room and showed me that picture of your very bloodied face and said that this was the first time that you had ever even thought about it. And then when you were on Jeff's show and he asked you about it, you said, oh, Jeff, you know, I've never even thought about that. When clearly that wasn't the case. She was telling two contradictory stories.
Right.
And they obviously called her out on that.
I think she said on Watch What Happens Live, it was first thing in the morning and she didn't want to get into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On Jeff's show.
Right. The same show.
Yeah. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah. So Heather's basically thinking that she used her to get this out.
Exactly. Heather's feeling used, and Shannon just can't believe in what world Heather could be making this about herself.
Right, because she said, I came to you as a friend and I needed a friend, and Heather's turning it into...
Exactly. And Heather says that she feels that maybe that night Shannon wasn't actually reaching out and sharing her story because she was looking for comfort, but instead because she wanted her conversation with Heather to be the vehicle that got her side of the story out there.
Right.
So Heather feels used. Heather and Tamara both have such history with Shannon, and they know how slippery she can be, and they're just not buying her sob story. Meanwhile, the new girls are feeling all kinds of bad for Shannon and feeling like Heather's just being an absolute ice queen to her.
Right.
Shannon says to the camera, I trusted Heather to confide in, and now I am sure that I made a mistake. Gina goes, this stuff is heavy. And Shannon says, it's more than heavy. This is a reality show trickling into my real life.
And everyone's like, this is...
And I'm telling you, this was a very telling moment. The fact that Shannon said this. So telling. And then Heather takes a small beat and goes, isn't this our real life? And everybody except two people, Shannon and Gina, who are the two people that I think Gina's whole entire storyline with Travis is completely bogus. I think the whole breakup, was orchestrated before the season even started to keep her on the show. I don't believe it. Why in God's name would Gina have gone into a real estate business and invested all of the, you know how much money you spend on marketing when you're a realtor? A bench, you know what I mean? Put your pictures all over everything. You get people to know you. If she had any doubt, she wouldn't have teamed up with Travis if she didn't think that they were going to be together.
Right.
I don't believe it. So
I know you don't.
So everybody piped up and said, it's my real life. Well, it's my real life, except those two. Then a sobbing Shannon turns to Heather again and says, I said something to you because I felt on that day that I needed to talk to a friend, and I chose you to talk to. And Tamara says, you're not the fucking victim, Shannon. And she says, no, I'm the fucking asshole. Just stop it. I don't need this shit. And she stands up and storms away. Storms away.
Yeah.
And as she storms away, Tamara says she got caught in a lie again. And Shannon can hear everything she says and screams back, keep fucking talking about me, you guys. And I'm going to tell you something, Tamara Judge, don't you ever call me a victim again. I told you I'm working on myself.
And she's saying it in between. She's waiting for the elevator, but there's these bars that she's standing behind.
And Tamara busts out laughing at her. And
right.
You're laughing at me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of hard not to laugh at her because she did look like she was screaming from behind prison bars.
Exactly.
And then she, just like Tamara thought she would, headed straight to the bar, ordered herself a Belvedere.
A Belvedere and a Coke. First it was a Coke, and then it's a Belvedere.
Can I get a Coke with a Belvedere chaser?
Right. So Gina goes after Shannon, who she finds her at the bar with her drinks. Right. And then Shannon tells Gina how betrayed she feels by Heather. Meanwhile, Tamara is telling the table Shannon is constantly telling people that she's telling the truth. And that's how you know.
And I gotta say, I think there's something to what Tamara was saying about that. When you encounter people that are, I think that's a really big red flag. People that are constantly, no, I'm going to tell you the truth. Like, it's just weird.
Why do you already be doing that? You don't have to point it out.
Why do you have to qualify the fact that this is going to be the truth?
Right.
Like, shouldn't the truth just be your baseline?
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. And I do think that Tamara was right about that. It's suspect.
Then she says, do you remember when I confronted her at the Balboa Bay Club? And then flashback to their argument.
Yes.
At the beach club, everyone is where they were arguing about Alexis' involvement in Jim's lawsuit.
Yeah, Alexis denied it and denied it and denied it. Swore, said, you can't find my name on any legal anything, la, la, la.
Nothing at all.
Well, but
yeah. Juice happens.
Juice, but then, yeah, she pulls out her phone and says, look at this.
Yep. When she went to respond to Alexis, she had already erased it. So when you pull it up, it's the old text.
Exactly.
That was
so true, because even if you take someone's name out of your contacts, if you punch that number back in there, your previous text thread will populate. And that's exactly what happened.
Yep.
It was like the universe just gifted her that text thread.
The truth.
Amazing. And it was the truth. It was the truth. And let's just read exactly what did it say? So Alexis says in the text, we have engaged an attorney and will be suing you and Tamara. That's a we. And did you hear Shannon? She goes, this is a smoking gun.
Yeah.
This is a smoking gun. She is so intense. And meanwhile, Gina's going, lies.
Holy shit.
Lies. Holy shit, lies. These are huge lies.
Huge.
And as Shannon is wiping her tears, she says, I'm not doing this anymore. So if you want to get on a bandwagon and hop on your platform and say that Shannon Bedore is a liar, then you go fucking right ahead. Because I know who I am, and I have taken such responsibility in the hardest year of my life. I am doing the best I can. And Gina says, well, I want you to know that you're doing a really good job of defending yourself. You are a strong woman. You really are, Shannon. You have big balls, even bigger balls than Travis.
That was so funny.
And then literally that was the first thing that made Shannon smile.
She smiled, right.
Thank God. But I thought it was a great episode. It
was really good.
I mean, it was really good. And I'm happy that Shannon gets that little bit, that Shannon found that text. I think it's
telling.
When I watched John Jansen standing next to Alexis, it feels like him and Shannon, quite frankly, are just two different versions of the same person. They both are like fighting about the same stuff. They're both like trying to make the same points. It's just, it's funny. I can absolutely see why they were a couple.
Yeah. When they were together too, it was
100%.
For sure.
Okay, now over to New York.
New York.
Yeah. Is New York the city that never sleeps? It is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week the show opens with Erin meeting with her mom at a wig shop. Her mom is officially in her 3rd week of chemo, and Erin is in full support mode.
And she has cut her hair to match her mother's haircut.
Yeah, exactly.
Huge deal about this hair, you know.
And honestly, she only cut like a couple inches.
Exactly. Get a
I mean,
hold of
that's
yourself.
great. I mean, it's a good start, but what happens like if your mom loses her hair?
Yeah, you gotta shave it. No.
You gonna shave it, sweetie?
Yeah, she was so dramatic.
She's so dramatic. Uba joins the ladies and waves what I consider one of the biggest red flags in the world. She sat there and within the first minute says, um, I was the first person that Erin called her mother having breast cancer. I was her first phone call. And I think that is the biggest I really do think that is the biggest red flag. Every single person that I know who always, I was the first person that called. I was the first person they called. I was the first person that found out. You know that?
Doesn't she have a sister? Erin has a sister.
Yes, Erin does have a sister, but they don't share the same mother.
Oh, you're right.
It's just her and her mom, and then the rest of the kids have a different mom.
Right.
But the fact that Uba sits there talking about she was the first one, it's just so needy and so desperate. And I know people in our life that are like that, and they just want to be the one. They're like, do. I found out first. I found out first. They just like, they want to be that chosen one, and they want to make sure that everybody else knows that they're that chosen one. I feel like everybody has somebody like that in their life.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys have somebody in your life like that, make sure you comment below and let us know. Then Erin goes on to tell Uba about how everything has been so hard for her lately. And then she starts crying about her mom. And then she starts crying about everything that's gone down with Abe. Erin says that she's pissed at him and she couldn't lean on him during this whole thing with her mom because she was pissed about other shit he'd done.
She was pissed about the Bitcoin.
Yeah, pissed about the Bitcoin. Then Jenna and Sai meet up for a chat. They talk about their kids, and the fact that they're both, applying for colleges and high school and all that crap. Jenna shares with Sai her early days in New York and how she had to struggle. And Sai goes on to tell her, listen, I really like you and I like talking to you. I don't want you in the world to think that I'm just always the grumpy girl. I've really been working on myself. She says, but when I found out what Brynn told you about me, it really triggered me that night. And Jenna says, listen, Bryn's not the only person who said, that you were talking shit about me. And Sai says that Brynn saying it carried more weight because they used to be so close.
Right.
Jenna tells her that she needs to be saying these things to Brynn. And Sai says, listen, I've tried, but she's not returning my calls.
Yeah, she won't talk to her.
Yeah, exactly. Sai says she just sends these crazy emails behind the scenes. And then she tells us about one of them where Brynn says, I don't scream or yell. Someone who tried to fuck with me once called me carbon monoxide, invisible, odorless.
This is hilarious.
And sucks the very life out of you before you even have a chance to realize it. Sai says that when Brynn gets upset, she threatens people, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised that that's how she operates. I'm not surprised at all.
No.
Because I think that girl's been through a lot of trauma in her life, and I think that she has built a fortress around herself.
She's stuck. Yeah.
I really do. Then we're working out with Uba. And she tells her trainer that she's in love, and that's why she's a little bit chubby. I love her accent. I can't stop doing her accent. I'm obsessed with that, darling.
Yes.
She also tells the trainer that she wants to have a baby in 8 months, and that she hates being on top.
I know.
Which was surprising to me because that was, look, I start talking about sex like it was a lifetime ago, but I've always personally loved being on top. That's been my favorite. Are you a top or a bottom?
Probably because we're controlling.
Is that hilarious? Is that hilarious? I've never really thought about it. They always refer to gay guys as a top or a bottom.
Top or a bottom.
Fully.
How funny.
Right? Because women
all are.
Why are you a top or a bottom? I would say I'm a top.
Exactly.
But I do think it's a little bit different, isn't it? Because, well, yeah, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
That's funny.
Okay, let's see, where are we? Oh, then we're over in Raquel's kitchen and we learn about Connecticut pasta. Have you ever heard of Connecticut pasta?
No, and that's the only thing that she knows how to make.
honestly, it sounded horrible to me. She mentioned everything, but she says that in it there's kale and sausage and what else? Is there even pasta in it?
Right.
Honestly. Then we also find out that her fiance Mel is a forensic neuropsychologist, and that clearly their dogs are her preferred patients.
Right. She's sitting next to that poor dog that was just not well.
Thicker than a Snicker.
Yeah.
That dog was thicker than a Snicker, but then we found out that the dogs actually eat better than the humans in the house.
Right.
And I mean, how could that dog not be thick and stressed? It's on a very high protein diet. I mean, what does it do? Eat filet mignon every day, it sounds like.
Right. The carnivore diet.
Meanwhile, the rest of the fam's on a Chipotle. Then over at Brynn's, she's getting ready to receive Erin.
Yes. And she goes to pour an Evian water and then puts it away. And
diabolical.
She deserves tap water.
I know. I know. That was pretty.
Yeah, she's a dirty.
That was a little dirty, I thought.
And then it shows Erin trudging up all these stairs.
And who knows if the elevator really was broken. I mean, they both said that the elevator was broken, and Brynn said, sorry, again, my elevator's broken. But did anyone test the elevator, or was this just Brynn torturing Erin a little more?
Carbon monoxide.
What about the fact that she came in and asked about the puppy and the puppy wasn't there?
Yeah, she says,
I'm excited. Brynn was really trying to punish her.
Oh, she was. The way she just sat on the couch and just looked at her too the whole time.
I mean, totally like was disregarding her, was in her phone, just I mean, it was awkward.
And then Brynn looks at her and says, oh, you cut your hair off.
Yeah, are you doing that because you're going through some things? And Erin walks in and she's talking to her like, yeah, I'm going through some things. But, I mean, it's a little bit, Erin is going through some things, and I know it's got to be hard for her. But, I mean, it's like a little bit, welcome to the real world, sweetie. I mean, I feel like the wind changes direction. And if she's not, if she's not expecting it, it's a hardship for Erin. The two of them sit on the couch, and Brynn says, what's up? And Erin says, a lot. I just want to start where we left off the other night. I've been really, really stressed, okay? I've been raw and really emotional. And, I don't even really remember what I said the other night. And Brynn goes, do you want me to remind you?
Right. Don't remember.
And she goes, I don't remember, but whatever it was, I want you to know I'm really sorry. And Brynn says, I just can't believe the way you came at me that night, the way the two of you came at me that night. And Erin says, I didn't even know that Sai was listening. I was shocked when she came over. And then Erin does what she does. I tell you, every episode, listen, I'm an authentic person. She loves to tell people what she is. Listen, I'm an authentic person. I can't mask myself all the time. And Brynn says, I've never screamed at a friend in public like that. And Erin says, yeah, because you're too busy being like carbon monoxide that just infiltrates, right?
Right.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then they harken back to that Jeff Lewis interview, and Erin said,
believe he's in all these Housewives?
I mean, everyone.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. I mean, and a lot. They've cut to his radio show more.
I know.
I know he's basically like a co-star at this point. And Erin says, listen, I understand that what I did on Jeff's show wasn't right. I understand that, and I agree. I should have shut it down sooner. And Brynn says, but you didn't. You didn't defend me with Jeff. You didn't defend me with Sai. And I don't need grown-ass women yelling at me. I've come too far in my life. This isn't Staten Island.
Oh, and that just infuriates Erin.
That's what I mean. That she is just so like, she's like that person that thinks that life has to, everything has to be just so. And you don't say that she's from Staten Island.
No, she was born and raised a city person.
Thank you. And don't get it twisted. Hilarious. And then Brynn goes, okay, city person. Then Erin very seriously apologizes for how things went down on Jeff's show. And Brynn starts crying, talking about how much it affected her. And then Brynn apologizes to Erin for the things that she said and the fact that things got awkward with Jenna because
Jenna. Right.
Yeah. Erin goes on to say that her heart was really broken because she felt that Brynn went to Jenna to break up their friendship. But Brynn says, no, that wasn't it. Not at all. I didn't even go to Jenna. She actually said something to me.
And she asked her how she forgave you so fast. And I said, well, it's just because Erin says dumb things about people's money. Case in point, she said after your car broke down that you were having money issues. I could also see her saying it as jokingly, right?
Yeah, just trying to like make light of it.
Yeah. And then Erin dives in to her mom being sick and breaks down and admits that she's a complete wreck right now. And Brynn says that they're like sisters and she hates seeing her like this. But yet Brynn still just sits in her couch and doesn't hug her, doesn't move, just as listening.
No.
But
right. But then they got up and went to the kitchen and got some wine.
Yeah. And then she said something about the water that.
Oh yeah. Then she told her about the dog that she sent the puppy away and that she gave her tap water. And
Yeah.
you could even see Erin's eyes. She was clocking it like, you're diabolical.
Yeah.
Then Jenna takes her son Beckett and those two other gorgeous women. I don't know who they were, but they were gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
Rock climbing. And I'm telling you something. I don't understand. Jenna has that weird, there's just this weird, she's just so timid. Is that the word? Like,
yeah.
She's just like fearful of a gust of wind, it feels like. She's just like terrified of life. And she just looked like she was being asked to do, like, jump off a bridge.
Right.
She was harnessed up. She was just terrified. She had like 3 panic attacks before she even touched the wall.
I know.
But Beckett goes up and down like it's nothing. And she's very impressed with him. They have a talk about colleges. And then she announces that the new car is arriving today.
The beautiful new car.
A beautiful and sexy new car. And she makes very particular note of the fact that it is a hybrid, which will allow her to afford the gas.
Now we're at lunch with Erin and Abe, who is on his apology tour, and we get a lot of insight of their real relationship.
We really did. This was a very telling lunch.
Yep. She tells him about her conversation with Brynn.
And that she's having the women over to her Hamptons house again. And she's wondering if they're going to have running water.
Right, because they're getting their kitchen remodeled, and she hoped that it's done in time. And then they talk about again the fact that Abe hides things from her.
Yeah. And then apparently the Bitcoin wasn't the only thing that he's hidden, because apparently the way they're talking about it seems like this is an ongoing issue. But then we get further insight in the fact that after she makes that comment about the fact that she used to be flown around by, I don't know, these
boyfriends on
famous men
on private jets.
Yeah. Then we learn that Abe, when we also heard them say that they hardly knew each other when they got married. But I mean, let's face it, how many people really do know each other when they get married? But Abe says that because of that life that she was living previously, he went into the marriage with this huge pressure on his shoulders to keep her living the life that she was accustomed to. And I think in order to do that, he has made some missteps or some shady steps or taken some moves that, you know, she didn't think were cool. But also I can kind of understand his point that he's really kind of
juggling the money
and trying to keep her satisfied. And exactly. You can tell it because then she even follows it up with something like, well, you just need to keep proving yourself. She says, a month ago, I didn't even think that we'd be here, but you just need to keep proving yourself. So I feel like this guy, I just feel like Abe is just constantly being tested by her. You know what I mean? And I do think that she grew up very privileged and
in the city,
because she's a city person and she's just not willing to downgrade her life.
Yeah, I see that.
She tells him that he just needs to keep proving himself and then they'll be fine. Just keep proving himself and we'll be fine.
Right.
Then we go shopping with both Sai and Uba's nipples. Sai makes a case for hard nipples. Meanwhile, Uba isn't hearing it.
Yeah.
I love a hard nipple myself. Uba tells Sai that her boyfriend is the one stable thing in her life.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, one's better than none, sweetie.
Yep.
Then they bring up Bryn's loyalty or lack thereof. I mean, let's face it. The truth is with Brynn, her ultimate loyalty is to herself. And that's the bottom line. And I mean, everybody's ultimate loyalty should be to themselves, but Brynn hasn't, I think Brynn is still in that just hyper protection mode. I don't think she's ever been able to really relax into herself.
Yeah, I can see that.
Then the two of them decide that they're not taking the chopper to the Hamptons, that they're going to drive together.
Yeah.
And then it's time to go to the Hamptons. Brynn, Jessel, and the new girl, Rebecca, meet up at the airport. They're there alone, wondering where the rest of the crew is.
Right.
Not realizing that the rest of the crew is actually driving to the Hamptons.
Yeah.
So just the three of them jump in the chopper, and they're not in that thing for more than 5 minutes before Brynn turns to Rebecca and says, hey, so here's a question. How would you like us to respond to the press when we're pressed about your Scientology? And about her, affiliation with the Church of Scientology.
Right.
And Rebecca says a whole lot of words, and then Brynn boils it all down and says, it sounds like the answer I'm getting is coming from ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And then Jessel says, I'm just not feeling right.
Poor Jessel.
She says she feels like she has to puke, she has to pee, and her cooch is numb.
Right.
Which is never a good feeling. And then they're off to the Hamptons, and let's hope that, there's more food and toilet paper than there was last season.
That's right.
That's how it started off, in the Hamptons with not enough food and not enough toilet paper.
And what is it that she makes? The shakucha or not kucha.
Yes, that's exactly what Meredith Marks and her husband made when they went on that cooking
class
excursion. Yeah, when they went to the cooking class.
Yeah.
Shakshuka, I think it's called.
Shakshuka, yeah.
It's very popular around here. It's on every breakfast menu around here. I think it's historically an Israeli dish. Shakshuka, which I think it's just like, I could be wrong, but I feel like it's Israeli chilaquiles.
Oh, yum.
I mean, I don't know that, but that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
I could be right. I could be wrong. And if you know, you can leave a comment about that.
Yes, let us know.
I thought this was good. You know what I was thinking the other day? It would really be great if maybe and I know we don't go backwards, but I would love to see a crossover where they bring a couple of the old girls.
Dorinda. What are you doing here without Dorinda?
I know.
I miss them.
Maybe the Countess could make an appearance just to kind of, what's wrong with
gold? Bring in their gold.
Nothing will ever be what that was. That was magic.
It really was.
All right, babe. Well, that about does it for this episode. I've loved spending this time with you.
Me too. I love you.
Big plans the rest of the day?
Work.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Work.
Me too. I'm heading into the salon in just a few minutes.
Yep. That's where I'm headed.
All right, love. Well, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Christy May's Garage on Instagram.
That is where you can find our girl, everybody. If you need succulents of any kind, succulent advice, succulents. Are you selling succulents? Are you shipping them yet?
I'm going to learn. I'm going to learn what you have to do. Because when we were away 2 weeks ago, my mom says, that's illegal. I said, Mom, I can go on Etsy right now and order a box. People do it.
People do it. And you have the most beautiful succulents. You need to get them in the
worldwide.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could leave a link. We could leave your link down here, and you could have a little catalog up there.
Yeah, I need to learn. I did order some boxes that are coming today. So.
All right, everybody. Well, Christy May's Garage, you know where to go. All right, everybody. That about does it for this episode of Generally Speaking. If you would like to reach me on socials, you can find me on TikTok at This Is Generally Speaking, or on Instagram at The Jennifer Snook. If you would like to submit a question that you'd like answered on the pod, or you'd like to collaborate, you can email me at jennifer@jennifersnook.com. If you would like to get your hands on some of this adorable Generally Speaking merch that Christy and I have, I will leave the link down below. We have loved spending this time with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been watching this on YouTube, please make sure you reach out and smash that subscribe button. If you've been listening on your favorite streaming platforms, please make sure you give us a follow, leave a message, a 5-star rating, tell your family, tell your friends. We would really appreciate it. All right, everybody, we will see you next time. And until we are together again, stay
rooted in love.
loves. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Love you.